Hey everyone, this is Josh from before. I'm here with McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Snyder Cut Justice League Darkseid MegaFig. That's a mouthful. And I know this is technically Euxis or Uxis, but I'm going to call him Darkseid because Euxis is a dumb name. Although actually, speaking of not knowing how to pronounce words, I always for the longest time thought it was Darkseid. And I know I'm not the only one. Is anybody else out there that thought it was Darkseid? See, back in the day, it was just the comic book store and then your friends that you talk to at the comic book store, and there's no YouTuber and nobody's talking about this character on TV, so you gotta go with whatever you think the pronunciation is. It was a very difficult time in nerd history, I must admit. Anyway, I gotta come in and say this Snyder Cut wave, I had generally kind of low expectations for. For one, I'm not a big Snyder Cut fan, and two, I'm not a huge fan of when McFarlane does live action figures. I don't think they look the greatest. But so far, I've been really pleasantly surprised. Every single one of these guys I've opened so far has been a lot of fun to play with. And this Darkseid is probably actually my most anticipated figure from this wave. For one, it's a mega figure. And I'm really excited about what they're doing with this, oversized individually packaged figures instead of a Build-A-Fig. I think that's really exciting. I think that's proof that Todd's, trying to do some cool stuff, go beyond just what like Legends and other retail figures are doing. So that's a big factor for me. And then the other one is in general, I don't care for most of the Snyder character designs. I actually like this this iteration of Darkseid. I think it's kind of interesting with the Omega symbols, kind of a cavity on his chest, and without the full armor that just breaks up his character a little bit, as opposed to like Steppenwolf, who's just the same armor texture head to toe. There's just a little bit of contrast to kind of draw your eyes, in different ways, different directions. So anyway, I'll stop yapping. I'm going to break into this guy, and I will obviously be comparing him to some of these other figures. Smells good. So he's posed in the box in a way that takes up more of this space than Steppenwolf did, but you can still see there's a lot of empty space in this box. So this MegaFig scale still has room to grow as far as even larger characters, which I'm hopeful for. For example, it leaked that there's going to be a Swamp Thing MegaFig. Hopefully that's even larger and more substantial than this figure. So he's definitely very thick, very sturdy, feels very solid. I like this character design. I know a lot of people don't like it. They'd say he's maybe too skinny. I like it. It makes me think of like an Amish farmer, like really lean, but dense musculature. And then, this, I know a lot of people, this bothers them, this cut right here. It doesn't look as bad in person, but really, this cut right here on the rib line is better than this, the way Legends does this thing. You know what I mean? Because for one, this is an extra point of rotation, the waist and the diaphragm. This only rotates at the waist, and So this approach is much preferable to me. Let's take a look at this sculpt, because wow, there's a lot of detail in his face. Great facial expression. It's like it can read as both scary, or it can read as sort of thoughtful, maybe. This whole head thing is actually, interestingly, a soft material all the way around his head there. So that could pop off. You could take that off if you wanted to. I don't know if you could get it back on, but customizers, be informed. Really smooth articulation on the shoulders, but these feel a little wobbly in here. And they don't have they don't have that true sort of butterfly. They're a little loose. They've got some rocking, but it's not really a real butterfly, which I miss that a little bit because I like how the just slight, I mean, you could do it a little bit. You could, and hope it stays just so. But those little micro adjustments in the shoulder posture can make a lot of difference to the body language, which is what I love about the butterflies. These are just a little loose in there. Bicep cut. I've seen some people complaining that their biceps just pop right out. Oh, and I can actually kind of see maybe why, because I think when you twist it, it starts to push itself down the way the bicep cut is tooled. So twisting it almost pushes it away from the shoulder. So he's got double elbows. Steppenwolf only had single. That's actually quite a bit of range for a figure this big, especially if you maybe, yeah, if you reorient it, depending on where you pivot from first. Soft, these are soft material. They don't wrap all the way around. That looks bent up a little bit. Not a huge deal. The articulation sculpted into the wrist, so it's just a swivel and a pivot instead of a ball joint, which is certainly looks a lot better. And the waist obviously works. Oh, and the ab crunch is actually pretty decent too. That's good range, really. More than I expected. They're, you know, they're slowly making adjustments to things and fixing problems in this multiverse line. One of them is getting this leg swivel, which is great because it doesn't need a thigh cut now. It just swivels from the hip. But they have these diaphragm joints and waist joints, but they've struggled to get the forward crunch going on, and they've made incremental adjustments, and they take sort of waves and waves for them to get to a really optimal place, but they're starting to get there, is what a roundabout way of saying. They're starting to get there, and it's pretty exciting. Single knee, but it's got a rotation as well. Don't overlook the rotation. Soft. All this blue is soft material. And there is going to be I think it's a Comic-Con exclusive where he's got his full armor over his chest. But I prefer this. I prefer this shirtless one because I like the broken up armor. So I'm not going to be trying to hunt that one down. If you are, good luck to you. So what's happening right now is can you see that ball joint under in there? It's kind of oriented the wrong way. It's not oriented as sort of the dorsal of the foot. So that's going to take some work. For this one is, see, I just need to get that oriented correctly, which that might take some work. These angles seem awfully stiff, so I don't want to push them too hard. But maybe with some warm water, I'll get the swivel out of them. Toes as well. Did I get a good look at the back, his musculature, his armor on the back. This is a great looking figure, and it feels great. And I don't think I really showed off just how much head articulation. That's great. He's got his intergalactic spear that has a black wash on it that really brings out that detail, makes it feel a little more weathered and used. It's pretty rad looking, honestly, with the way this flares out. I like that. And he's got one gripping hand to hold the spear. That hand is stiff, it's a little tricky to get it in there. It's a pretty cool looking weapon. And he's got this great open sort of gesture hand. That can read as menacing or beckoning, or it can read as a lot of different sort of meanings. He could hold it sort of like that shot in the trailer, you know, where he's holding the spear. He's about to go crazy. You know, I gotta say, Darkseid, I liked seeing him in the Snyder Cut. I don't think he really added anything. You know, Steppenwolf was a way more interesting character in the Snyder Cut, and it was cool and all to see like the flashback of Darkseid on Earth battling the gods and all that. But just overall, his presence didn't really contribute much to the movie. That, I think, in general, is why the Snyderverse just doesn't do much for me. Like, yes, it's cool that there's a 4-second shot of the Frank Miller bat tank, you know, from Dark Knight Returns. But it doesn't add anything to the movie, and it doesn't really, even though I know what that is, because I read that comic, it doesn't mean anything just to show it. That's my general grievance with the Snyder approach. But if you like it, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad they put out that newer version. You know, to each his own. I like when people get the versions of the characters that they like, and I like that there's multiple iterations or interpretations of them that can make different people with different tastes happy and be able to enjoy those characters. That's where I come down. Let people like the stuff they like. It's fine. I like Birds of Prey. So, I mean, some of you probably think I'm an idiot, but whatever. So here he is. I just got a bit, not the craziest, most ambitious pose, but he's just standing up on his own 2 feet without a stand or anything, as opposed to our pal Steppenwolf, who I did put in an ambitious pose, and I actually have him on 2 different stands to facilitate that. Members of the Justice League that I have assembled so far, which at this point is just Flash and Aquaman, and I do have the Wave 1 Wonder Woman who kind of fits in there too. Fits in there well enough, kind of, you know, completes the team. At least we had that version of her to match the rest of these guys. So you can see, hang on, let me put Aquaman right there. So Aquaman's the tallest one here in the normal 7-inch scale. Darkseid is a little, almost 2 heads taller than him. So, which brings me to just value, because these MegaFigs are $40, and I think, just like I said, compared to the box size, I think this Darkseid and this Steppenwolf will probably be on the shorter scale, into the scale for this MegaFig size. Hopefully, I'm hoping they put some real big bruisers in there, because the value, they're $40, and you know, this guy's $20. This is $40. Is this Darkseid twice as much figure as one of these guys? I don't know. I don't know. I say it. I mean, it is worth it because I like this. I'm gonna hang on to it. But for me, that comes down to the way I display stuff. And I know there's a lot of people out there and that they're quantity collectors, and they want their shelves to be completely crammed full, everybody shoulder to shoulder, and just have an ocean of figures, which is awesome. But we're gonna go on a tour. I just want to show you, I want to articulate what I'm trying to say. This is the kind of like display that I'm trying to, you know, pull off here, which is giving every character kind of space to stand out. You know, I don't want the characters to just get like run together. But you can see here with this Bane what throwing an oversized character can do. You know, here's a shelf with just all 7-inch figures. It looks pretty cool. But then when you get down here and you have this guy who's completely different proportions than everyone else, it really sets it off. Same, like down here, the Dark Knights, you know, you get that Merciless and that Devastator in there, and it just throws some completely different body shapes and sizes into the mix. Same over here, the Spawn. This isn't my favorite shelf, but you can see the way this oversized figure really acts as like the centerpiece of that particular shelf. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's a roundabout way of saying, for me, the MegaFig scale and price point is worth it. you know, if I wasn't doing these reviews, I wouldn't have gotten Steppenwolf and Darkseid. I would have just got Darkseid. And here's how he stacks up next to some previous Build-A-Figures. So you can see he's a bit bigger than Bane and Darkfather. He's kind of on par with the Build-A-Figure scale. So that's Darkseid, and that is the Snyder Justice League that I've got assembled so far. I'm still hunting down the rest, Batman, Superman, and Cyborg, but I will get those reviews out as soon as I find them. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.